Hey everyone, we've been talking about purpose in January. Everybody talks about purpose, thinks about it at the first of the year, and last week we talked specifically about the fact that even if we're not living on purpose, we're being driven by something, and oftentimes it's things like fear or guilt or the things we don't want to be driven by. And so the bottom line last week was when we figure out how to live on purpose, that is our path to living with some inner peace. So today I want us to talk about purpose again. We're going to take it from a little different perspective. And let me just tell you about Julie Marie Carrier. When she was a child, she absolutely loved animals, and animals adored her. And everywhere she turned, people were always patting her on the head and telling her what an incredible veterinarian she was going to be. And so when she left for college, of course, she took biology, anatomy, chemistry, all the things to prepare for veterinary school. And her senior year of college, she got the opportunity to study abroad. And when she got away, halfway around the world, from family and faculty expectations, she recognized, hey, I'm miserable studying this stuff. And she started to reflect on, when in the last few years have I felt real joy? And she realized it was when she volunteered in the summers at youth leadership conferences. So that senior year of college, she took all communication and media courses. She just shifted gears immediately. Took her 2 more years, but she graduated with a degree in leadership studies. And from there, she went on to be a consultant in leadership training and leadership development for the Pentagon. So she obviously found her space. But more important than that, she launched a public speaking career with a target audience of youth. And she began to empower young women, teenage girls and young women, in ways that they hadn't been yet. And so if you Google her, Julie Marie Carrier, you'll discover that she is a pioneer. She is a trailblazer in that area of growing up leaders. But she thought she was supposed to be a veterinarian. So what she did was pause and think about what brought her joy. So if you're wrestling with this idea, how do I live on purpose? What is my purpose? What is my current assignment? You don't even have to think about it in such big global terms. Just what is the season I'm in? What is it that is the mission for right now? One of the things you can do is look at what brings you joy. Go back. You can go back, look at your whole life, make columns a decade at a time, right? And just list all the things that brought you joy in those times. Now we're looking for activities, people, experiences that bring you joy. I'm not, an ice cold Dr. Pepper on a hot Texas summer day, but things that are beyond you, that spread out the joy. So make a list. See what themes you discover, what patterns are in that list. Or if a list isn't working for you and you want to go a little different direction, what are you curious about? Think about what are you curious about that you haven't yet explored, and start exploring those things and see where you find joy in the middle of those things. You can go either way. Look at the past. Where have you found, where does joy get evoked, or go with your curiosity, where does joy get evoked? Either way, and begin to figure out what wakes you up, what keeps you alive. David Viscott said, the meaning of life is to find your gift, but the purpose of life, that's what we've been talking about, the purpose of life is to give it away. So we are looking to identify this, what brings us joy, what brings us alive, not because it's for us, it's great for us, but because it's going to impact in bigger ways the people around us. Now here's the rub for us. We live in a busy world. We are busy people. In fact, busyness is rewarded. We feel like we've succeeded if we are busy, right? And the problem with that is, if we're trying to recalibrate, if we're trying to put our finger on the pulse of our own heart, we need a little space. And busyness takes up all the space. So before we can answer these questions, before we can think about purpose or what brings us joy, we really need some space. We need to create some space in our life. So There are 1,000 different ways you can do that. But hopefully, if you have a coach is doing that for you. If not, that's what a coach needs to be doing. Partnering with a coach is a place where they create space where you can breathe and think and reflect and put your finger on the pulse of your heart. So create space before you do any of this exploring your purpose. Here's what I'm noticing, and you probably have already noticed it too, is that when we're not living in this place of joy, this place of purpose, this place of meaning and fulfillment, we tend to compensate. We learn to compensate for not being happy. We treat ourselves, right? We treat ourselves to dinner. We treat ourselves daily to the drive-through fancy coffee, or we treat ourselves to the newest fashion, or we treat ourselves to the Netflix binge, whatever it is. And what we are doing is we're rewarding, we're compensating for the unhappiness. So here's what is kind of a litmus test. I used that word the other day and someone didn't know what it meant. A way to test where we are on living on purpose. If our consumption, I'm going to use that word, consumption of things increases proportionally to our dissatisfaction in our life. So if you find yourself consuming all the time, wherever you're at, you're consuming, then that probably means you're fairly dissatisfied with your life. You're not living in this place of purpose and meaning. So my challenge to us today is notice how much consumption is going on in your world and think about what would happen if you created space to find the joy that brings you purpose. I'm Michele Gooch with Life by Design. We're talking about purpose in January, so you meet me here again next Wednesday at 1. We'll talk about it some more. If you really would like to partner with someone to give you space, to help you with this process, I'd love to join you in that. I know you want to live with a purposeful, intentional, meaningful life. I know you want that. And I know life gets in the way. The inertia of the daily grind gets in the way. So I have a formula that helps us move you from where you are right now to where you want to be. You can find me at lifebydesign.guru, www.lifebydesign.guru. I'll see you next Wednesday.